Hey everyone! So welcome back to Mr. Rowan's Art Studio. And today's episode is directed at all of my teens out there who have been asking me for a long time now to teach them how to draw people. So today we are going to start with our first lesson, which is drawing faces. And we're going to be learning how to draw faces portrait style, which is head on, just like I'm looking at you right now. And we're going to be practicing by drawing ourselves, which is called a self-portrait. Now, before we get started, I want to go over some tips which are helpful when you're first learning to draw people. So my first tip is don't worry too much about making your drawings perfect. Drawing people is hard, so it's okay if your drawings don't look the way you want them to at first. It's like I always say, sometimes you have to make a lot of bad drawings before you start making good drawings. Embrace those bad drawings. They're an important step on your journey. My second tip is use references. Today we'll be drawing while looking in a mirror, but you can also look at pictures of people or get a friend or family member to sit while you draw them. My third tip is draw what you see, not what you expect to see. Especially when it comes to faces, there are so many small details that make us look the way we do. And if you want your portraits to look like the person you're drawing, you need to really look at them. This can be hard when you're drawing yourself, because maybe there are things about your own face that you wish were different. I know that's the case for me, but if you leave those details out, it won't look like you. So look closely and draw what you really see. Alright, so for this lesson you're going to need a pencil and either some paper or a sketchbook to draw in. Now, if you don't have either of these, 40 of our lucky Boys and Girls Club members are going to be getting some teen art bags, which have a sketchbook and 2 art pencils in them, as well as some printed instructions to go along with this video, and a couple of other cool things thrown in there. So keep an eye out for that, and if you're interested, contact your unit directors. Alright, so first I'm going to start with a circle. So the circle is going to represent your skull. So most people have a pretty circular skull. And then we're going to divide that circle in half. So draw a little darker so you can see. So the vertical line is going to be your line of symmetry. So we're going to have 2 eyes on both sides, 2 ears, two halves of your nose. You get the picture. And this horizontal line is going to be your brow line. So that's where your eyebrows are. And so now we're going to put in our lines for the different parts of the face. So generally right here, kind of at the base of this circle, there's going to be the line for your nose. And generally, in most people, your nose is halfway between your eyebrows and your chin. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to measure. So if my nose is there, my chin's probably going to be right about there. And then halfway between your nose and your chin is generally where your mouth is. Now, these are just sort of guidelines because everyone's face is different. Some people have longer or shorter noses, some people's eyes are closer or further apart. For me, I know that my mouth is usually a little closer to my nose and further away from my chin, so everyone's face is different. So now that we've got our face laid out, let's start with our features. And so you can either draw your features first and then draw your head around them, or you can draw the shape of your head first and fit the features inside. So either way works, but I think for this video I'm going to draw the features first and then the shape of my head around it. For the eyes, usually what you want to remember is that our eyes aren't shaped like footballs. So it's a very easy shape, but that's generally not what our eyes are shaped like. So in reality, you want to think about your eyeballs, and your eyeballs are spheres, so they're big and they're round. So I like to draw like the shape of the eyeball first to work from. And if you get both circles about the same size, then your eyes will be about the same size. All right, now what we're going to do is you want to remember that what gives our eyes their almost football-like shape is the eyelids, and our eyelids wrap around our eyeballs. So I usually like to start with a tear duct, and then our eyelids are going to wrap around our eyes. And for this part, you're going to want to look in a mirror and see what sort of shape are your eyes. How do your eyelids wrap around them? Because again, the shape of everyone's eyes is a little different. So there's one. And then I'm going to go over here again. I'm going to start with the tear duct. And then I am going to my first eyelid. And then the second eyelid. There we go. And I'm going to add a darker part to the top eyelid to represent the eyelashes, because both boys and girls have eyelashes. Some people are born without eyelashes, but most people do have eyelashes. They tend to be a little lighter on boys, so I'm not trying not to overdo it, but they're there. So this eye is a little more closed than the other, so let me adjust that. All right, and now I'm going to draw the insides of the eye. So the white part of the eye is called the sclera, and then the colored part of the eye is the iris. So let me draw the shape of the iris in each eye, and then I'm going to draw the black part of the eye, which is called the pupil. And the pupil is the part of the eye that lets the light in. So that's the part that is really important, that lets us see. And then I'm going to add a little white spot for the reflection from where the light is hitting my eye and being reflected back. And then I'm going to just lightly shade in the colored part of my eye. And wow, my eyes look really sleepy in this. I look really tired. Alright, so now I'm going to add some creases for my eyelids. So some people's eyelids have a crease that, again, just follows the shape of that eyeball underneath it. Though not everyone's eyes have creases on them. Some people don't. Again, it's going to follow that line. Okay. All right. So those are two eyes. Now I'm going to, so our brow line's up here, I'm going to add some eyebrows. Now the shape of your eyebrows are really going to help show the mood in your portrait. So you want to really look closely at your eyebrows, because also everyone's eyebrows are a little different. Some people have very thick eyebrows, some people have thin eyebrows, some people's eyebrows are arched, other people's are straight. So I'm just kind of quickly sketching in the shape of these eyebrows. Okay. So now the next part is going to be the nose. So the nose can be tough, but most noses can be broken down into some really simple shapes. In this case, circles. So I'm going to do one circle there, just above the tip of my nose. And then to each side, I'm going to draw one circle here and one circle there. So these three circles are the base shape of my nose. And almost anyone's nose can be broken down into these 3 circles. Now, depending on the shape of your nose, these circles might be bigger, these circles might be smaller, they might be higher up, or they might be more oval. It depends. So again, take a look in your mirror, try and figure out what shape your nose is and where you're going to place those little guide circles. And then you can go ahead and add the shape for the nostrils. And I'm going to add some outlines for the shape of my nose. And then I'm going to add the shape of the little dip underneath your nose and above your lips. That's called the filtrium, I believe. But that's usually another good marker to put in your drawings. All right. So sometimes you're going to want to draw a line for the bridge of your nose. Usually it'll either connect to your eye or your eyebrow. But if you have a really shallow bridge of your nose like I do, or if the lighting is a certain way, you might not need to draw it at all. So I'm just going to draw a little sketch there, and that's it. I'm just going to leave it alone. All right, so now let's work on the mouth. And, oh man, it's going to be hard to draw my mouth while I'm talking at the same time. But what you want to start with is the line of your mouth. So I like to start with that little V shape right there, and then your mouth is going to go out each way, and usually your mouth's going to end in line with the center of your eye. Not always, not for everyone, but usually when your mouth isn't making a smile or a frown, it'll usually end somewhere around there. Like obviously a smile, your mouth is going to be stretched out, so it's going to come further. Or if your lips are puckered up, they're going to be further in. So it depends. So now that I've got that shape, I am going to add a line for the bottom of my lip right there. And now I'm going to draw the shape of the lips. So I like to break them down into different shapes. So you got kind of a heart shape right there for the bow of your lip, and then you've got these little triangular shapes that come down to each side, and then you've got these 2 larger sort of teardrop shapes that come out this way. Right? And I did that sketch in pencil, so I can lightly erase it and go over it in my pen. So the line between the red part of your lip and your skin is called the vermilion line. And it might be really strong if like you're wearing lipstick or some other kind of makeup or lip liner, but if you're not, usually it's not a very dark line. It especially starts to disappear the closer you get to the corner of your mouth. So you can draw it very lightly in the corners there. All right. And now I've got a little bit of a shadow under my lip there. Now I'm going to draw my chin, and I never leave quite enough space for my chin, so I'm just going to move that line down a little bit. All right. So there's some features, and now let's draw the shape of the face. So you're going to want to look at like what shape is your chin. Is it flat or square, or is it more pointy? Like what is the overall shape of your head? Is it pretty round? Are your cheekbones pretty angular, or are they more square? So take a look at yourself in the mirror and try and figure out what shape your head actually is. So I'm looking in a mirror right now, And I'm seeing that my jaw is pretty square, and my head is overall pretty square shaped, so I'm just going to sketch that in. Okay, and so now I want to add my hairline. So usually that's going to be somewhere between your brow line and the top of your head. So my hairline comes up to about there. And my hair is a lot longer on the top than it is on the sides, so I'm just going to sketch that in there. Alright, now the last part we want to add are the ears. So generally your ears are going to start about in line with your eyebrows, and they're going to end about in line with your nose. Alright, there we go. So now I want to make sure that we've got the neck and shoulders. So generally your neck is going to start just a little bit in from your jawline. Your neck's not down here, so your neck's got to be thick enough to support the weight of your head. It's going to go out into shoulders, and it's going to come down. Alright, there we go. So I don't think this looks quite like me yet, so I'm going to keep working on it and hopefully fix it up a bit. But in the meantime, stay safe everyone, keep practicing drawing those faces, and I'll see you next time. Bye!